Hey guys, this is Jackie. Um, so I have been rereading. I have reread three classics that I read years ago. Jane Eyre last year. I think it was last year. Peter Pan last month, and I just finished A Catcher in the Rye, and that is the book I would like to talk about today on this video. This is a book I read back in high school. You know, one of those assigned reading, and I just wanted to see if I generally had would like it today because I thought I liked it back then, but I'm not entirely sure if I did or not. Here's my copy of the book, Catcher in the Rye by J.D. Salinger. So, in case you don't know, this is the story of Holden Caulfield, and I think he's 17, a 17-year-old boy who goes to a prep school, competency, but he has failed every subject except for English, and so once again he's been kicked out of another school, and deciding not to want to deal with his two roommates. He decides to leave his school early instead of the day he said he would come home, and he spends the weekend in New York. And he essentially he goes to a lot of bars, tries to get drinks underage. He just catches up with old friends. Tries to get in touch with his sister without his parents finding out because he doesn't want to deal with his parents once again being mad at him because he got kicked out of another school. It's basically a narrative of him providing a social commentary about his friends, his peers, some of his life experiences, how he doesn't like phonies, he doesn't like the movies because the movies are full of phonies. He hated this Pensy because, he feels like it was a bad school. He talks about his family, and, he admires and really loves his sister. He has a pretty decent relationship with his older brother, DB, who is currently a writer in Hollywood. I mean, it's just basically him talking about a little bit about his life and, spending this time in New York for the weekend. I thought the book was good. I mean, it wasn't one of my favorite books, but I thought it was good. I liked the writing style. I liked how it was easy to read. It wasn't like the actual classics like the Jane Austen novels and the Bronte sister novels and Dickens and all that. It's a little harder to read because it can be drier and it's a lot of description, a lot of words, and the writing style is just sometimes hard to get into. But this one was very written in a way that you could really you could get into. You could sort of relate and you could understand the book. It wasn't too boring. I mean, despite the fact it was basically this kid just narrating and providing social commentary on his life and the people in his life. But it was still very interesting, and Holden I could see where he could be relatable, especially to teenagers, but he just got on my nerves. He was so annoying in his immaturity. And I think a lot of times sometimes I like books where it's from the guys where the protagonist is a male, but other times not so much. In this case, I did not like him as, I did not like Holden as a protagonist. He just was so cynical and bitter about life. I get the message of the story, which is he's talking about how, hold on to your innocence, and sometimes when you become an adult, you kind of lose it, and you do become more cynical as you get older. And he was like everything, he hated everything, and he didn't like anything. I mean, it was kind of funny because at one point his sister says that to him, it's like, you don't like anything. And she's like, give me one thing you like. and with the exception of he says he likes his sister, which I do. I love his relationship with his sister. I like that they have a good relationship, but and I guess being that I am a younger sister myself, so I kind of can, I kind of appreciate stories that have that relationship between siblings, especially, especially the relationship between a younger and an older sibling. And I think her devotion to him, like, he decides he's gonna go to the country and live on a farm or on a ranch, and Phoebe wants to go with him. That's his sister. But he's like, no, you can't. You're not gonna go with me, and she just gets really upset about that, which I thought in a way that was kind of sweet how she wanted to go with him, and then I think it was also sweet that he took her to ride on the carousel to make her feel better because he told her she couldn't go with him. So I just a few of the things there were some things that he said that I agreed on, but there were some things that I was like just rolling my eyes. I was like, grow up, dude. And to quote someone on Goodreads, I want to shake him and again say, grow up. It's his. Sorry about this. 1 second. Sorry about that. Apparently my computer, I got an alert that I had a virus on my computer, and Macs aren't supposed. I have a Mac computer, and their systems don't usually get viruses. They're not supposed to. I mean, they will probably in the future find a way to get viruses into Mac computers, but they're not. They so far they haven't. But I did get an alert saying I had one, and my mom. I texted my mom asking her what I should do with it, and she just said ignore it. So I exited out of it, and that was just her texting back asking me if there was anything more wrong with it. So far so good. Nothing has happened. I am still able to do this, for instance, make videos and watch other booktube videos and go on Facebook. So far seems pretty good. Anyway, let me get back to my review. So, on Goodreads, someone said that dang. I got my mom. Okay, sorry. Once again, my mom apparently our house computer also got an alert that there was a virus. Maybe they're trying to put viruses into our computer. If she interrupts me again, I'm just gonna ignore her and finish this video because I don't want this video to get too long. So I can't remember what it was. Someone said on Goodreads that they wanted to shake him and tell him to grow up, essentially, and that's how I felt. He kept on, he was pitching a hissy fit because these women that were probably in their 20s or 30s didn't want to dance with him, and all they cared about was hoping that some celebrities, which, okay, maybe celebrities don't go there, but still, I mean, you're a 17-year-old kid. Of course they're not going to want to dance with you. And then, but he's probably also a horny 17-year-old kid, so. And then his reason for, like, he runs into one of his old teachers that he did really like, and his teacher, asked him why the school is bad, and his reasoning is because, the school was, they were, like, all because they challenged him too much and expected him to do things that he didn't want to do. And, I do understand, like, him being kind of, like, peeved about in one of his classes, he had to go, like, they would have to improvise a speech in front of the class that day, and he didn't want it, like, he didn't like that, and especially since, his peers could be like, if you got off topic, like I constantly do on here, then your peers could shout at you, digress, you're digressing, or they would, like, and if you digress too much, then you would fail. So I understand getting annoyed by that, but I think at the same time, it doesn't make it a bad school, just because it's really tough and, you have to do a lot of educational things that you don't want to do. That doesn't mean it's a bad school. It means that you just, at times I thought that Holden was kind of lazy. So really that was my peeve about it. It's just, I didn't like Holden's character. Other than that, the book was decent. It was well written. I liked how the chapters weren't super long. It was an easy read. I think it's accessible to a lot of today's readers. It's a pretty good book. Maybe you'll want to read it, or maybe your teenage kids will want to read it. But like I said, Holden does try to drink alcohol, and he says "God damn" a lot, which really that got on my nerves too. In each of the sentences, in a lot of sentences, he said the word "God damn" like 3 times in a lot of sentences, and it just really is like, really, how many times can you say that word? I mean, I understand that there are some people, I understand sometimes people, unfortunately it's bad having people pick up where they curse in their vocabulary. They're constantly cursing, but don't say the same word. Of course, he also said the word phonies a lot. But that's because he doesn't like phonies. He doesn't like people that are phonies. And I understand there are some people that are a little more, that are annoying because they're so fake. That's basically what he means by phonies, I think, that people that are fake. And I understand that there are some people that do get annoying, but he doesn't like anybody. He doesn't like, as his sister said, he doesn't like anything. So basically it was just his character. It was hard for me to get past. It's one thing to be a bitchy or mean or horrible character, but like, some of those horrible characters aren't annoying. Holden was annoying. Like, I still love reading about Cersei Lannister from A Song of Ice and Fire series, or watching her in the show. Trying to think of another. There's other annoying characters that I actually like, but it's a lot harder when, like, the characters are the protagonists. Like, Cersei wouldn't necessarily, there are so many main protagonists in the Song of Ice and Fire series that it's not, it's easier, I think it's easier to deal with, but it was mostly about Cersei. There would be times when I would, just roll my eyes at her. But, her reasoning, of course, is understandable. Her reasoning, the only excuse Holden Caulfield has is that he's a 17-year-old horny boy. Although I think he gets depressed a lot about things. Now, I don't know if he's just saying, sometimes people use the word depressed, something makes me depressed, in a casual way, which could be construed as disrespectful to people that actually are depressed. that do have depression. So I don't know if he actually has depression or he just is really bitter about life. I did not like his character. So on Goodreads, I gave this book 3 stars for it was a good, well-written book, and I get that it was controversial for the time. In fact, actually, despite my rating, I am going to go see the movie. There's a movie coming out, I don't know when, that is called The Rebel and the Rye, which is basically about J.D. Salinger and how he wrote the book and what he had to go through to write the book. Like all the hurdles and all the criticisms he experienced. Like from the preview, it looked like a lot of people did not understand this book. They didn't understand the meaning behind it. And like why Holden was, and they didn't understand his character. I mean, I think people now, of course, I think nowadays we're more understanding of the book. But at the same time, I think because someone asked on Goodreads, and when I was going through reading the reviews of this book, because I already know what happens in the book. I mean, there's nothing big that happens to spoil. So I was reading a little bit about like people's reviews on it, and some people said, and it's like people don't today. Readers feel like, why is this a classic? Why do we have to read this in school? So it's a little different view. Like, I feel like we understand it better nowadays in today's society than they would have done back then when this was written, which I think was in the 50s. Let me see. 45, 46, 1951. So it was after. So it was close. It was like either way, it's after World War II. And I'm guessing from the previews, it looked like that maybe Salinger went through a little bit of PTSD or something. And it looks like and part of his problem is like a lot of his friends die, which, unfortunately, sad to say, that does happen. And I think he survived. And I think this is kind of like spirit, lethargic, I think is the word for him. This book, I think that was writing this book. And I also, so I want to see that. And I want to see, I want to read Franny and Zoe, which is one of his other books. And then there's another one, 9 Stories. I don't know if it's like there are 9 stories or just the title is called 9 Stories, or maybe there's 9 stories in one book. I don't know. But I know my sister has Franny and Zoe, so I want to read that. And I'm probably going to ask her, because I want to read more of Salinger's work to see if I like his other books. But I'm going to probably ask my sister if she wants this book back. Because I think this is a book I borrowed from her. Because there's a little penciled in writings from her. Let's see. There's something I wanted to read. If I can find it. There was a quote in here that I really liked that my sister had highlighted actually, because I think that she had to study this book in school just like I did. The mark of an immature man is that he wants to die nobly for a cause, while the mark of a mature man is that he wants to live humbly for one. I like that. I like that quote. That's actually a quote that his favorite teacher, tells Holden when he's trying to get Holden to essentially grow up and realize and that he needs to stop rebelling and just realize that life, he has to start living life. He can't, just be lazy all the time, and just because he doesn't like something, because his teacher, expressing that he's really worried about him. Unfortunately, what kind of disappointed me about his teacher is that, and I think Holden was obviously disappointed in his teacher too, that his teacher does something really weird to him, because he goes to stay the night at his teacher's house while he's hanging out in New York. Before he goes home, he crashes there, and his teacher does something really weird. I don't know what to think of it. I don't know if he was being pervy but either way, it was really weird. And to Holden, it was obviously weird because it was something he was doing to him, and so I didn't know what to make of that. I didn't know if he was being pervy or what, but it was weird. But it's unfortunately so that kind of ruined it, but I still like the quote. I like this thing that the teacher says to him. Again, the mark of an immature man is that he wants to die nobly for a cause, while the mark of a mature man is that he wants to live humbly for one. Sorry, I wanted to read that again. So I thought that was good. I'm gonna have to ask my sister if she wants this book back, because I think this was originally her book, since she has his other book, Franny and Zoe, which, like I said, I want to read that. But first, I have to read the other two books she let me borrow, which are The Kitchen God's Wife and The Joy Luck Club, by Amy Tan. I want to read those because but I have to read those before I borrow Franny and Zoe from her. I don't know when I'm gonna get back, because unfortunately now we live 5 hours away from her, so it's kind of hard for me to borrow books from her. I'll be keeping them for a long time, So like I said, I gave this book 3 stars on Goodreads. It was good, but it wasn't one of my favorites. So I don't know what I don't know what I'm gonna. I think I'm gonna read a separate piece. That's another. I think it's a reread. That one, kind of looking at that book, I don't remember what it's about, but it kind of reminds me of what is that? What's that Robin Williams movie? The Dead Poets Society. And just looking at it, going by the cover itself, it looks like a good book that looks like. It kind of reminds me of it could potentially be like Catcher in the Rye, and the fact that it's a school setting and it's about these boys and their lives. I'm also gonna reread Fahrenheit 451, and I remember liking that one, which is weird because it's basically about burning books. I mean, I know that's not the main plot, but the main character, that's his job. It's like a dystopian kind of book, and he's burning books, but then he starts to kind of question. I'm guessing he reads. It's been so long, so I don't remember, but I'm guessing because he reads a book one day, and then he starts to question why they're getting rid of all these books, why they're burning them. And then this one is not a reread, but I want to also read 1984. I'm gonna read that one. Another reread I have here is this. Dang it! Another reread I want to get to is Of Mice and Men. This is a collection of John Steinbeck's novels, his short ones. I like these. These are one. I think this one is from Barnes and Noble. One of those Barnes and Noble classics edition. I think what I might do, I probably will go through read all these, and then next I'll read East of Eden. But I want to read John's Of Mice and Men, which is a book I believe I read in middle school. Of course, at that time I didn't like it, but now that I'm older, I might like it now. So I want to reread this. I want to reread that one, and then I'm probably gonna I'm gonna read his other novels. And here he has Tortilla Flat, The Red Pony, Of Mice and Men, The Moon is Down, Canary Row, and The Pearl. So these are all his short novels, his novellas. And then I want to read East of Eden at some point. Hopefully I'll like of Mice and Men. Unfortunately, I cannot take this book with me places, which really sucks. Like, unless, I mean, except for when we go to, like, Virginia or South Carolina, I might be able to bring it with me as long as I don't bring too many of my other books. But, like, I can't fit it in my purse when I go to work. But I'm only there for, like, 4 or 5 hours anyway, so it doesn't matter. So anyway, so that is my review of Catcher in the Rye, and and I hope you guys liked it, and why don't you guys if you guys have read that book, read Catcher in the Rye, you can let me know what you think. Alright, bye!